Facts. Okay, gang. So we could casually lower the brain gears down a notch because you already understand what an accrued expense is. We just haven't applied the proper context to its definition. So, by definition, an accrued expense is an expense that has incurred or happened but hasn't been paid for yet. So remember, gang, we always record expenses as they happen. Sometimes when those expenses happen, we pay directly for them with cash. Other times, we don't. And so anytime that an expense happens and we don't pay cash, we still owe. And so if we still owe, it creates a liability. And so by definition of an accrued expense, the expense is recorded because it happened, and a liability as well because we haven't paid it. And so with that being said, let's take a look at an illustrated example of an accrued expense. Let's go to the board. Okay, gang, so we're going to take a look at a beautiful illustration of an accrued expense. Now remember, accrued expenses by definition are expenses that has incurred but have not yet been paid, which means that in any circumstance under accrued expense, the expenses are increasing as well as the liabilities. On December 31st, suppose that It's a Joke pays salaries of $1,000 per day, Monday through Friday. The firm pays employees each Friday. Today is a Thursday. So there's a lot of key words in here, gang, so let's apply. Pays salaries of $1,000 per day, Monday through Friday. The firm pays employees each Friday. And today is a Thursday. So, what's going on? Well, today happens to be a Thursday. It's the end of the year, and it's time for us to make those financial statements. But before we make those financial statements, we must adjust accordingly. And so in this particular situation, we have some salaries that have incurred. We have some salary expenses that have happened, but we haven't paid it. How do we know that? Well, because of the mere fact is that today is a Thursday and the company pays their employees every Friday. And when they make those payments every Friday, those payments consist of Monday through Friday's work days. So that consists of 5 days, right? And we see that this company makes those particular payments per day of $1,000. So every Friday, the company is paying salaries for a total of $5,000, which consists of 5 days. However, year end being falling on a Thursday, the companies have not made the payment for this week's salaries. This week's salaries happens to fall on the following year, which will be Friday of January 1st. But as of Thursday, December 31st, there are some salary expenses that happen that haven't been paid. So how do we record that? Well, it's easy. We're going to debit salary expense because as we say, we record the expenses when they happen. So we're going to debit salary expense and we're going to credit salary payable. Last name payable, meaning that a liability has increased. Okay, so thus we've increased an expense and a payable because by definition, the expenses incurred, but they haven't been paid. So the next part is to calculate how much. Well, today falls on a Thursday, and the payments accordingly represent 5 days, Monday through Friday. But since today falls on a Thursday, there are only 4 days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and today, which is a Thursday. 4 days of salary expenses that has happened but haven't been paid. So that is the amount that we have to account for. So how do we calculate that? Well, we know that $5,000 is the total amount, right? That is paid per week. And we are accounting for 4 days out of 5. Okay? And so as you can see, this is going to get us to a total of $4,000. So our salaries expense has increased by $4,000, as well as the liability, salaries payable, for $4,000. This illustrates a perfect example of an accrued expense. And remember, gang, anytime you have accrued expense, you're always going to debit an expense, you're always going to credit a payable. So if that light bulb has clicked and those brain neurons are firing right now, please feel free to like, subscribe, and share to the channel for more ways to chase the bag. As always, gang, it's been a pleasure, and I will see you soon. Bags!